How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Timeless Movie Podcast, episode number 66. My name is Victor Vasquez. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode where you just hear my thoughts, my opinions, and you just hear me discuss different movies that I'm able to check out. Last week was a good one. If you haven't checked it out already, go ahead and check out episode number 65. I actually had my brother join me on that episode to talk about Late Night with the Devil, and we're on a roll right now. We're catching some really good movies, and I'm really excited for these next couple episodes. So let's go ahead and dive into this episode. 66, we're going to be talking about the film by the first-time director, but you've seen him before, Dev Patel. He is in his directorial debut, and he has created this movie called Monkey Man. I was super excited as soon as I saw the first trailer. I, again, haven't seen all of Dev Patel's movies, but I got really intrigued by his work after I saw him in The Green Knight. And as soon as I heard that he was going to make his own kind of first film as a director, star in it, and then it also was produced by Jordan Peele, and then I found out it was like an action type of a movie, I'm all in. You already know from the different episodes that I've done before, I enjoy action movies. That's probably my top genre so far. Really excited to kind of check it out. I saw some of the trailers. It looked very interesting, so wanted to kind of give it a shot. It kind of reminded me of John Wick. It had a lot of different types of action sequences that reminded me of that franchise. And then I come to find out that it's very much inspired by John Wick. So let's go ahead and dive in to some of my overall high-level thoughts before we kind of go into a little bit of that spoiler territory. Overall, I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed Monkey Man so much. There was things that I really appreciated. A lot of the choreography from the action sequences was really well done. They displayed a lot of different things that, again, not saying that it's very unique and that I've never seen these types of action moves before, but just some of the way that they filmed it, it just made it look so realistic. And because I just recently watched Roadhouse, comparing these two movies is like night and day. It made me appreciate that they were able to show and not do too many weird cuts or film it in a way where it almost looks very much fake and CGI. This one, again, looks like every punch is landing, every kick that Dev Patel's character, the kid, is throwing. And it just made me appreciate it so much. One of the things that I really loved about Monkey Man was the colors that they used throughout the film. They had just a wide array of different colors that were popping out, and all those colors were just trying to grab the audience's attention, whether it was colors throughout the city, if they were celebrating a specific type of an event, whether it was him, and when I say him, I mean kid in this film, played by Dev Patel, whenever he was at a specific area like the bar, whether he was fighting in an underground arena, whether he was, like, again, going out and just messing with fools in a specific club. All these different types of colors were used throughout the movie, and I really enjoyed it. It just kind of adds to that kind of a flavor of, like, what does this movie feel like? What is it about? Just having those colors pop out just made it much more enjoyable. And then finally, I just really enjoyed the story and the arc of what the kid went through in this film. Kid actually has an alias in this film. He actually gives himself the name of Bobby, and Bobby kind of just goes through the story of how to get redemption and how to get revenge for the loss of his mother. These police officers that were obviously, just not doing their job ended up getting rid of this town of folks, and that's where Bobby and his mother lived, and they ended up killing his mother. And so the entire story takes place around him just trying to find redemption and find a way to, really put the people responsible for the death of his mother and just trying to find swift justice for that. So really enjoyed taking that journey with him as well. But again, overall, just a fun movie to watch. A lot of great things to kind of keep you engaged as you're watching on the screen. Again, whether it's the action, whether it's the colors, whether it's just him and his own story as Bobby and what he's been doing and how he was inspired by his mother as well. So really good stuff. Let's dive into some of the pros and cons that I had about the movie. First pro I have to call out is the cinematography. Dev, again, and his team that made this film, awesome job. And what a start for his first actual directorial debut. It's just, he was able to nail like these really cool shots. I'm not going to say that it's perfect. Not every single scene was kind of filmed and every shot was like photo perfect. But I will say that there was a lot of unique takes to the film that I really enjoyed. Like, one good example is whenever they would show the villain, Rana. He's one of these officers that Bobby ended up remembering because he finds him responsible for the death of his mother. And what they do in the film is that Rana is always at the beginning kind of shown from a bottom up type of a view. And what I mean by that is that they actually film from like towards his feet and his knees to just make him look menacing, make him look tall. And I love that. I love when they show different types of shots, because a lot of times movies will kind of keep it very simple, right? Keep the shot horizontal and just kind of keep it very much vanilla. Not in this film. In this film, again, Dev and the team are able to kind of explore different options. They even use like tilted angles whenever Bobby's going through some type of a mental hurdle, when he's trying to kind of figure something out or remember some type of a past trauma or maybe push that trauma away. They kind of tilt the camera, but it works so well that it's not too long where it becomes disorienting. Job well done to the team. I really love the way they kind of experimented as well. And then, like I mentioned before, the colors. There's just so many vibrant colors that pop out, and every single scene, again, contains something very unique. Like I mentioned, you clearly know when, if you've seen the movie and you call out like when he was in the underground combat arena, you immediately know that, oh, the color is yellow. It's such like a bright, dirty yellow. You have all these fans chanting at, the names of all the characters that they really want to win. And it's just really good stuff. It just makes everything feel more real. And I love that. I love when colors and the way that the film is kind of shot in certain aspects where it makes different things other than the characters feel real, right? You obviously want the characters to be one of the most important parts. You're trying to follow Bobby in his journey, but it's also cool when they actually make the city in India feel just as a character on its own. You feel that it's, again, a nasty place. You feel that it's very corrupt, and it's, again, all these different colors and all the ways that they were able to shoot this film as well. So gotta definitely give a shout out to the cinematography. Second pro for me is the score/soundtrack. They used a lot of great music to kind of input in like specific action sequences that I really appreciated, and it really fit the tone of the movie. Unlike some other cases where, again, just throwing out an example of something that pops into my head of a previous episode, when I talked about Godzilla and King Kong, there were certain scenes where they would add music and it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to the universe of Godzilla and King Kong. There wasn't really a need for a type of music, again, that might be something that we recognize in our reality. But in Monkey Man, it made sense. They played this type of high energy music to explain like maybe the feeling that Bobby's going through as he's trying to, run through these guys and knock out these thugs in a bar. But there's also other scenes that just make it much more, they make it much more emotional. Like whenever he's having a type of a flashback to the trauma of, losing his mother or being with his mother, the score becomes much more, not anything lyric based. It's much more just a feeling, a sound. It's much more kind of like, I guess I would say like orchestra related type as well, right? Where it's just, you hear the instruments and you hear something very melodic, and it's just very soothing when he's with his mother. And again, it just makes those scenes much more intense, and it makes you, again, feel for and have some type of, I guess, emotion towards Bobby of like, okay, well, why did he lose his mother? What happened as you're seeing these little flashbacks? So I guess this kind of leads me into my third pro, which is the flashback scenes that they introduced within the film. Again, the main focus of this story in Monkey Man is the story about Bobby and how he's basically starting the film where you just know that he has this special relationship with his mother. And then you eventually find out that, again, his mother was basically killed by Rana, who is, again, this corrupt police officer. But Rana is actually not the true villain. He's actually led by the character named Baba Shakti. And he's almost like this spiritual leader. And in the audience's eyes, he seems to be somebody that is, very prophetic. He is like maybe the answer in the way that you should be and carry your life. But deep down inside, Baba Shakti is actually the villain. He is actually doing things that are corrupt. And he actually leads these other kind of camps of corrupt people like police officers, in this case, Rana. And it leads them to other camps in order to get rid of the people to take their land. And we get to see that in different flashbacks. But what I loved is that they didn't just sprinkle in the same kind of images in flashbacks. They actually set up where every flashback tells you a little bit more. It feeds you a little bit more. And now the flashbacks are just little sprinkles, little kind of breadcrumbs of like what is Bobby going through in his mind. But as the film goes through and as he goes through like almost like a type of a spiritual kind of a awakening as he takes like these different types of drugs, or I guess I should have said hallucinations. He starts seeing more and more of those flashbacks, and eventually he's able to kind of open up his mind and see exactly what happened the night that his mother died. But how they do that throughout the film is just perfect. They pick the perfect times to kind of tell you what is happening throughout Bobby's life. Why is he motivated to do these types of actions, and what is his purpose at the end of the day? So really good use of just explaining and giving us the background without just kind of spilling it all in one scene, right? Rather than just telling the audience, hey, here's his purpose, here's what he's doing. No, just give us a little bit more. Just feed us a little bit of information and let the audience kind of just unfold and figure it out as the narrative goes on. So definitely love it. And then last but not least, got to throw in the action. I mean, the action was just, like I stated, it's inspired by John Wick. So many great scenes. There was this really cool scene where in an elevator, you have Bobby facing off against some other type of a thug. And then what he ends up doing is that he's kind of stuck and he's kind of caught like in that elevator. And then what Bobby does is that he actually gets a knife with his mouth, basically charges at the thug's throat. And then he eventually just kind of drags it with his mouth and he basically cuts the guy's throat. It was graphic, but it was such a unique kill and it's such a unique action sequence in the movie. Again, a lot of great stuff, and I really appreciate how they were able to pull it off and make it look realistic. There's too many times where, again, some directors, some cinematographers, or some choreographers as well, they try to make something like look very kind of exaggerated, but in that exaggeration, the scene doesn't look real. It just kind of looks like, it doesn't seem like that could happen. Everything in this film, it looked like every punch was landing for real. Every kick was landing. Even that kind of that throat cut with what Bobby was able to perform, it was just incredible. So definitely got to shout that out as well. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into some cons. I do have just 2 cons that I have in regards to Monkey Man, and I just have to kind of, small little nitpicks. But my first one is, although the action sequences were really well done, it wasn't perfect. There was too much shaky cam, and I still, to this day, don't understand why shaky cam is used so heavily in action sequences. I get that they were trying to maybe portray, and just to kind of give everybody the background, in Monkey Man, he's actually escaping a building, and he's just trying to run for his life and survive. And in that exit and him trying to survive, you see the camera shake, and again, it's trying to add tension. It's trying to add to the intense moment of, is Bobby going to live or is he going to die at this moment? But I don't feel like shaky cam actually does anything. The camera's, it moves so much that I to a point was almost kind of like almost taken out of the movie, where it's like, okay, this is just it's too much. You're shaking it too much. It's overwhelming, and it kind of took me out a little bit. Luckily, it was only for a short period of time in the middle of the movie. But again, to this day, I don't understand why filmmakers or choreographers or whoever's decision it is, I do not understand why shaky cam is still added to movies. Again, we have the way to make things very crisp, very real, and in the moment. I don't feel like shaking the camera has any impact in me as a viewer of a movie. It just, again, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't make me feel more intense. It actually just makes me feel more lightheaded because of how much the camera's moving and how much my eyes want to focus in on Bobby or whoever's in that scene. So again, I wish that part wasn't in the film. Again, it did take me out a little bit, but I was able to kind of get back into it with what the story was trying to tell me. Last con that I have is just about the character of Baba Shakti. And like I've stated, he is kind of like that main overarching villain of the movie. And just to call it out, Baba Shakti is actually played by Makaran Deshpande. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. And again, he did a really good job as this kind of spiritual leader on the outside, but inside he's a very corrupt person. Again, his character was really cool, but I actually wanted more. And not more in like like he was so cool, I wanted him to come out in more scenes. It's actually more like in a disappointing way. Like, I wanted to see more of why he was the villain. Like, why did he want all this land? Why was he lying to the people and pretending to be this spiritual prophet that everybody can look up to? There's just a lot of things that I really wanted to see, and I wanted the film to tell me, hey, this guy's terrible. This guy's bad. In just looking at the film in the first kind of half, or like maybe the first act or second act, Rana is to me the true villain. You see that he is the purpose of why Bobby's mom is dead. He basically tries to harass her and then kills her. And again, he is like the example of, okay, this is the true antagonist. Baba obviously is the one telling folks what to do, and he told Rana to do that type of an action, but it's not really shown too much. And so I really wish that character of Baba would have been shown a lot more, shown how sinister or evil he may have been. That way it kind of adds more weight at the end when Bobby ends up facing off against Baba Shakti one-on-one. So again, just my little nitpick. It definitely could have just gone over my head and I just probably wasn't paying attention. But moving away from the cons, my favorite performance of the movie is probably going to be Dev Patel as Bobby. He did really good in this film. Again, kind of just starting off as like a kid that's just full-fledged, just thinking about revenge. And you're along for the ride. But then eventually he kind of ends up kind of growing and understanding of like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this? Is it really just to kind of get my own type of justice? Or is it to help everybody else as well, right? And so that nobody's just following this Baba Shakti spiritual leader at any point in time, even though he's spreading lies. So again, he had a great performance. The way he was able to kind of just play it off, again, like not knowing anything at the beginning, just trying to really learn and understand the world of this city that's so corrupt, and how he's able to then have the confidence at the end where it's so cool because there's actually, I love the way that the film represented it, in that the beginning of the film, he's like, okay, I got to study everything about this corrupt business, right? Well, Rana lives in this specific area. He owns a club with his wife. And so, okay, I'm going to become a waiter. I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to get a chance to eventually work in that same club and bar that Rana always goes to. And then I'm going to shoot him. And so he has this entire kind of plan as he's kind of working through his way up. And he's just kind of taking his time. And then what's so cool is that by the end, when he understands its purpose, he doesn't need to do any of that. He goes, okay, I'm just going to go straight into the building. I'm going to get through everybody and then eventually face Rana one-on-one and then get revenge. And so really good stuff. Again, it's just showing you like how by the end, he's that confident character. He's the character that understands, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. My mother always told me stories of Hanuman, this monkey man that had powers and that was punished by the gods. And he ended up saving all of his people. And that's basically who Bobby turned into. All the stories that inspired him by his mother, that's kind of the character that I guess he was kind of being molded into as well. So really good stuff. I also want to give a good shout out to Alfonso. He's actually one of the characters that ends up befriending Bobby. He's like this kind of gangster that works for Rana and his wife Queenie. Alfonso, who is played by Pitobash Tripathi. Again, apologies if I mispronounced the name. But Alfonso actually, again, he just has this funny and charismatic way about him. He's like short, but he's has all this energy. He's going through like the bar and thinking he's like the hot shot. He's like the owner of it, and he gets put in this place a couple times. But he just provides that comedic relief that we needed, just because Dev Patel's Bobby is just so serious, so in the zone on his mission, that you kind of need somebody to kind of counterbalance that as well. And so I really also enjoyed Peter Bosch as Alfonso, and then even the chemistry between Alfonso and Bobby just worked really well in the first and second act of the movie. So again, shout out to them too, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose Dev Patel and his character of Bobby. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about my favorite moment. This actually, you're going to be surprised, even though it is an action film, my favorite scene is actually not anything related to action. It's actually a point where Bobby is working as a waiter in the kitchen. Again, this is like in the first act of the film, him trying to work his way to try to find an opportunity to take out Rana. And when he is in the kitchen, he starts kind of going through these different types of flashbacks. And what's so cool about this is that how they cut up this scene was so perfect, because it kind of puts you in the mindset of what Bobby was feeling. He sees Rana, he sees what he's doing to these women that are just kind of around them just to kind of provide them pleasure. And then as soon as he sees his hand start caressing this woman, he starts getting flashbacks and he starts seeing things that have happened in the past. He sees his mother, he sees Rana's eyes, and he sees all this different stuff. And then as he goes through, he goes into the kitchen, and then you see a fire going up on a grill. And then it cuts to a fire that happened in this town of where he lived with his mother. It was just so beautiful. They just kept cutting in between what was happening presently to what had happened in the past with his mother. And I thought that was so cool. And the way that they described that scene of like, he's basically having a panic attack. He left the kitchen. He had to just get some fresh air, and he was just breathing very heavily. I thought that was, again, I love it when scenes can make me feel what the character is feeling at that moment. He legit was having a panic attack because of what he had seen in that bar with Rana and the women that he was with. And again, it just opened and unlocked a memory that he was trying to suppress. And it just basically, he ended up just kind of having a panic attack, and he had to walk away. He had to breathe, and he didn't know what the heck was going to happen, what kind of a reckless action he was going to do. But really good stuff by Dev Patel. And again, that's one of the reasons why I chose him as my favorite performance. But also this moment, again, is how they shot it, how they interjected some of the flashbacks, just seeing something and just kind of unlocking a memory that forced him into a panic attack and had to kind of recollect himself. Great stuff, and a great way to kind of shoot that type of a scene to make the audience feel what Bobby is feeling. Overall, guys, those are my thoughts about Monkey Man. In my opinion, I definitely recommend, if you have a chance, go check out Monkey Man in theaters. It is a lot of good stuff. Besides that middle scene and that middle part of the film when he's escaping and has a lot of shaky cam, that's probably the only thing I did not like. Other than that, it's a really great film. It's a lot of great action. If you're really big into the John Wick franchise as well, it's even a better reason to go check this film out as well. So a lot of good stuff. Don't wait for streaming. Check out Monkey Man in theaters. All right, everybody, now that we've gotten through all of that kind of content in regards to the movie, let's go ahead and jump into whether I think this film is timeless. Is Monkey Man a movie that I could see myself rewatching over and over again? In my honest opinion, I believe that yes, Monkey Man has the potential to be a timeless movie. Now, is it the best action movie that I have ever seen? No. I would still probably prefer watching some of the John Wick films. Those, again, to me, the story and the way that they were able to kind of choreograph a lot of the action sequences and how unique it is and some of those camera shots, I'd still probably prefer those over Monkey Man. But this definitely has that potential because not only, again, does it have the action that keeps you engaged, it's also the story. It's also what Bobby is going through in this film, what he is trying to achieve and what he's trying to do to not only help himself, but help people around him as well. So just so many great things, from the way that they able to kind of shoot certain scenes, to the colors that were leveraged, to the characters, to everything that they kind of had. It works so well. Again, not a perfect movie, but to me, it definitely has that opportunity to, as soon as I see it on, or if I want to introduce a movie to somebody that, maybe they've already seen a lot of action movies, hey, I might just recommend Monkey Man. It's just so well done. Congrats to Dev Patel on his directorial debut, and really good stuff. And I can't wait to see what else he comes out with in the future as well. But again, to me, Monkey Man has definitely the potential for a timeless movie. What do you guys think, though? Have you had a chance to check out Monkey Man? If you have, let me know down below in the comments. I really want to hear you guys' thoughts. And let me know, again, what were your favorite scenes? What did you enjoy the most about the action? Did you even notice the shaky camera? Definitely want to know your guys' thoughts down below. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to another discussion about a new movie that I was able to check out. My name is Victor Vasquez. This has been episode number 66 of the Timeless Movie Podcast. Make sure to check out next week's episode as we cover a new movie and we decide whether it is timeless after one viewing. All right, everybody, thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys later.